You're all set, sir.
All right, meeting called to order. Today is March 2nd. It is now 6:03 PM. Town council meeting via Zoom.
Councilman Licciardi,
Here.
Councilman Messier,
Not sure if that was him.
how do I know if he's in the other meeting?
We'll find out when we get in there.
Okay. Councilwoman Williamson,
Here.
Council Vice President D'Amico,
Here.
and Council President Goslin. There is a quorum on record.
I'm here. Yeah, you want to
Under
read it?
section,
Whoever wants to read it.
Well, if you go ahead if you want to.
okay. Under section 42-46-5, section A1 of Rhode Island General Laws, the town council posts an executive session closed meeting to discuss the job performance of the wastewater treatment facility superintendent after proper notice was sent to the superintendent care of his attorney.
I'll move the executive session.
Second.
Second.
Moved and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You on the other side? Just a reminder, whoever's on this side, just remember that this is still live and people can log in anytime. And so please keep your professionalism going. Thank you. Joe, who, we're back.
How do I get my picture back up?
Welcome back.
No.
On the bottom.
Okay.
All right, I think everybody's back here from the council. Let me know when you're ready, Joe.
David, you're all set to go.
All right, meeting call to order. It is now 7:14 PM on March 2nd, Town Council meeting via Zoom. John, will you lead us in prayer?
Yes. Heavenly Father, we pray for your presence this evening. Bless this body with your Holy Spirit. Remind us all to be patient, thoughtful, and caring when making decisions and mindful of those we have been chosen to serve. Father, we ask that you watch over this great town and all of our many citizens. We pray this in your name. Amen.
Thank you. Councilman Messier, will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Councilman Messier, you're on mute. Councilman Licciardi, will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Sorry, my finger was wet and I kept hitting the mute button. It went on mute.
Go ahead, Paul. Roll call.
You're not going to close executive session?
Actually, Jay, go ahead.
Okay. Under section 42-46-5A1 of Rhode Island General Laws, the town council will close the executive session that was held tonight, March 2nd, which discussed the job performance of the wastewater treatment facility superintendent after proper notice was sent to the superintendent in care of his attorney.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Councilman Licciardi,
Here.
Councilman Messier,
Here.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Here.
Council Vice President D'Amico,
Here.
and Council President Goslin.
Here.
There's a quorum on record. Discussion regarding actions in planning pertaining to addressing COVID-19 virus and impact on town operations.
Mark?
Good evening. A couple quick updates. First, as far as our employees go, we have one DPW worker that's out on extended recovery. We're hopeful that that employee may be returning within a couple weeks. One town hall employee out on recovery, one police employee that's out on a close contact quarantine, expected back over the weekend, hopefully, and one firefighter out on a close contact quarantine that's expected back within a few days. As far as town hall operations, up until yesterday, town hall was open on a limited basis due to elections. It was back to being locked today and going by appointments only. I suspect that the new governor is probably going to get sworn in during this meeting. So I expect some different guidance from the governor's office out to the state within the next week or two. So Chief Verone and I will be kind of assessing that guidance, verifying all our precautions and social distancing measures to make a determination if it's safe to open up town hall again in some capacity. At our next meeting, I'll try to have a report on some expenses and funding. The FEMA grant just was released this week that we're entitled to, so we'll be submitting for that. I don't know if Chief Verone is here and wants to offer any comments on where his 25% completion of our vaccinations that we're committed to.
So we have administered about 675 COVID vaccinations in town. That is mostly 80 and older, that population. We are in the process of calling the 75 to 70, almost complete with that. And we started to drop just a little below that. We still have another about 400 doses to administer, 200 this coming Thursday and 200 the following Tuesday.
Any questions for Chief
Did I drop
Verone?
out of there?
You did drop out.
Okay.
You're back though.
Over. Okay. So, so that is ongoing. The new funding that interim manager Knott was talking about, it is coming out, and that's going to be as the new governor comes in, that format that we'll be applying for will be determined. So we are anticipating having 100% reimbursement for a lot of the expenses that we've had with the COVID vaccination process, as opposed to the 75% that we were getting with the CARES grant, and the FEMA portion of that.
Would that include the overtime stuff, Chief?
Yes, it will. It'll include the overtime, and it will include some of the infrastructure changes that we had to make, like at the Civic Center, the Wi-Fi and those other upgrades that we
Good.
needed.
And I did get a notice while we were in the meeting that Governor McKee has been sworn in as governor.
Oh.
I got it 26 minutes ago, so.
Excellent. So are there any questions about that? Anything else?
How long do you think that money will take? I mean, last time we had FEMA, it took 10 years. So I assume it's not going to be quite
Well, we've
that.
already, so with the FEMA aspect of things, how we sent it to FEMA, we have gotten 2 of the payments from them that we submitted for in the fall. We're going back and forth on some of the expenses. We put in for some of the things for the expenses that were incurred for COVID protection during the election for the town budget, and those were not allowed. Okay, because for that particular grant, it had to be specifically response related. Okay, so this new grant that is given to the state, that the state's going to administer, will have a broader scope. It'll still have to be applied to COVID, but it'll have a broader scope of for submission.
Great.
Councilwoman, it's my understanding that I guess we put together a financial package on what we thought our vaccination process would cost. I'm just going to make up a number, just say that we expected that to cost $50,000. The money allegedly is already in the state hands, and they're going to immediately issue 50% of what you predicted your cost would be. And then as you come close to that, they'll dispense the second half of the money. So, we might see that very soon.
Good. Good. And I want to shout out, Chief, your guys have, again, done a terrific job, gotten all sorts of compliments of how we've run things. Mark, I know you've heard some too, but kudos to West Warwick for the job that we're doing.
Team effort. So it's a lot of organizations helping out. So including the senior center, the civic center, town hall staff. So
Don't discount your leadership in that, but I agree with you. It's a team effort. Yes.
okay.
Thank you once again. Any questions for Mark or Chief Rowan? Thank you.
Discussion action vote of town council. Any matter of this portion of the agenda may be acted upon by way of topic, discussion, and action by town council, with the vote on the record to approve, amend, deny, or table the agenda item. Minutes of previous meeting. Resolved that the town council hereby approves the minutes of February 16, 2021 executive session and February 16, 2021 town council meeting are hereby accepted.
Move the minutes.
Second.
Moved and second, any discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Consent agenda, license applications. Resolved that the consent agenda have been posted, all matters being referred to proper departments and being disposed of or waiting recommendation, the same is hereby approved.
Move the license applications.
Second.
I'm going to recuse myself. David.
Moved and seconded, Councilman Messier is going to recuse himself. Any discussion on the licenses? Any public discussion on the licenses? Seeing no hands, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier, recused himself. Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Ordinance number 2021-3, first reading, sponsored by Councilman Messier. Amending Chapter 11 Motor Vehicles in Traffic, Section 34 Routes where trucks prohibited, and Appendix C of the Code of Ordinance of the Town of West Warwick.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Moved and
This,
seconded, Al,
this matter was brought to the attention of the traffic committee from Aaron Brown of AJ's Restaurant. The problem he's facing with is that big trucks, trailer trucks and what have you, as they come down Main Street and turn into Crossan Street to get over to Brookside, they've been damaging his building. The traffic committee took a look at it and they are making a favorable recommendation to the council to go forward to place Crossan Street between Main and Brookside Avenue in our chapter that controls truck traffic and large vehicles on certain streets in the town. If you recall, maybe a year or so ago, we revised the whole list and we put together a new list of streets that control heavy traffic. And this is a request by the traffic committee to add Crossan Street between Brookside, between Main and Brookside.
any questions for Al?
No.
Any public comment on this ordinance? Seeing no hands, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Ordinance 2021-4, first reading, sponsored by Councilwoman Williamson, an ordinance amending Appendix C traffic ordinance of the Code of Ordinance of the Town of West Warwick.
I'll move the ordinance. I'll second.
Seconded. Discussion?
This is a matter where it's simply putting a stop sign at the end of Lily Lane, which is a T intersection with Gilchrist Drive, requested to the traffic committee through the residents of Lily Lane. Traffic committee met, reviewed it, and they make a favorable recommendation to the council to have a stop sign put at the end of Lily Lane at the intersection with Gilchrist Drive.
I found out something new. I found out where Lily Lane was. I had no idea where Lily Lane was, so I had to do a Google to find it, but
Well, I would suggest that if you're going to get a surprise if you go to the town's GIS, because if you put in Lily Lane, when the map comes up, it says Apple Tree Street.
so yeah, this is actually the condos that are being built. It's the road coming out onto Gilchrist from there, so.
Any public comment on this ordinance? Hearing none, roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes,
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Ordinance 2021-5, first reading, sponsored by Council President Goslin. An ordinance amending Chapter 16, Section 16-82, naming streets of the Code of Ordinance of the Town of West Warwick.
Move the ordinance.
second.
Moving second. Al?
This is a matter that I'm bringing before the council that came about primarily because of Lily Lane. I received a call and an email from Major Ashenbo to do this ordinance that you just gave first reading to for Lily Lane. So I went to the GIS and put in Lily Lane, and up came Apple Tree Street or Apple Tree Drive. So I called Major Ashenbo and I said, "What are you doing? It's not Lily Lane, it's Apple Tree." And he said, "Well, the sign says Lily Lane." So I began to do some discussion getting into this, and I talked with Joe Hool and Matt Manning, and the fire department has a great deal of concern with the naming of streets in the town. They gave me a couple of incidents where streets had been named, developers had come along and put a new name on them, and the fire department was at a loss as to where the street was. This particular situation, if I then got in touch with Mark Carullo, and if you look at the map that was followed, it says Apple Hill Street. And if you look at GIS, it says Apple Tree Street. And if you look at the sign, it says Lily Lane. I found out that although all these other documents were recorded, the developer put the name of Lily Lane on it. Getting into further conversation with Joe Hool and Mark Carullo, Matt Manny, we found out that our ordinance regarding the name of streets, all it said at the time was that it had to be reviewed by the TRC. In discussion with various department heads, the suggestion was made that, number one, to not only require the naming of streets, but also the changing of any name of streets to not only be reviewed by, but also approved by the technical review committee. And that once a name is given, then it can't be changed without going back to the technical review committee. The discussion I had with the various department heads who are all in favor of this was led to the TRC because I believe I said in my email to the council with the background to this, is when you stop and think of it, our fire department, our police department, our planning department, our building department, and our tax assessor's office, it's a major, the street names are a major importance. And as Sal Secocha pointed out, so is 911 in the post office. I've passed my recommendations to all the department heads and all the parties that are involved emergency, the wrong street name. And within the last week or so, Matt Manning told me that there was an emergency call and they weren't sure where the particular street was located. So I personally feel this is a very, very important thing to get straight, to leave the naming and changing of names with the technical review committee. And I know that the department heads that I've been in conference with feel the same way.
Now, just to confirm something, though, for instance, Montclair Street has a street sign at the telephone pole of where on Paper Street would be LeGrand on the map. It's LeGrand Street. Just because the sign is there doesn't mean that is Montclair Street. It's just like, for instance, that is my street. So the street sign basically points to Montclair Street, but they never put a street sign up LeGrand. So, and I just found all this out because DoorDash does not deliver to my house because they can't find Montclair Street, but because they go by LeGrand, but Montclair is a street and so isn't LeGrand, but there's only one street sign, which is Montclair.
You mentioned this to me, David, when we spoke, and I discussed this also with Tim, and both of us were of the opinion that what I'm presenting to the council tonight is of such importance that we wanted to get it to the council, setting the rules going forward. You mentioned it to me with your situation. Who knows how many other similar situations there are in the town, but both Tim and I and the department heads felt that we did not want to take the time to address that type of issue, which is going to take probably a lot of research, without getting this done to go forward and having department heads and especially our police and fire knowing where every street in the town is. So that's where Tim and I ended up with your concerns on it, that we felt it just wanted to get moving on the future and then look to what we've got in situations like yours.
Any other questions for Al on this ordinance? Any public comment on this ordinance? I allow Derek to speak. If you could just state your name and address for the record.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
All right, I got a new computer. Derek Reed, 62 Windows Ave. Who names these streets in the town and who authorizes to put up the signs? Seems to be where we should start. Because there's a few other streets in this town that are kind of the same way.
Al, I muted you by accident. I'm sorry. You just want to hit on mute. That was my fault. I went to go mute me and I muted you.
That's a problem, Derek. And as I just said to David, I wasn't aware of that until I ran into it just recently. And as I said, I think you're probably right that we have this situation. The problem was that up until what I'm suggesting and requesting or asking the council to enact tonight, what was happening was the developers were coming in and they were naming their own streets, and there was no ordinance that gave anybody the authority to say, no, this is going to be the name of the street. I understand from Tim that at one point in time, the authority to name streets was with the town engineer. Neither Tim or I can remember when the town had an engineer. So this is an attempt to correct the situation that you are addressing tonight of these streets that have been named. And I do know that in certain instances, the streets recommended by the fire department, the name recommended was changed by the developer. And when the fire department attempted to stop it, there was no authority, no ordinance that denied the owner of the property the right to name the street. So this is the first step in trying to resolve the problem that you've raised.
So when you go about looking into this, you can look into putting Noon's Lane back on the town maps because that road is in litigation right now and it's been removed from the town map in the tax assessor's office during litigation that has not been solved yet, has not been completed yet. So can we put that on your list of things to do along with these road naming issues?
I don't want to get it there, Derek. I understand where you come from. I don't want to get involved in anything in.
I'm not asking you to get
in
involved. I'm
litigation.
just letting you know
it will be, my suggestion is, when we move forward on this, I haven't given any thought to how we're going to go forward with what's already there. I've only been concerned about the future. And at this point in time, the next step will be discussion is probably with the department heads is how we go about trying to straighten out the past.
Right.
I'm not trying to avoid it, Derek. I just don't know.
No, I understand. I was intrigued in this whole
Yeah.
conversation because, as everybody knows, there's no secrets. My life is tied up right there right now, and a street name that I'm fighting for, and access on that street, being private or public, has a street sign on it, but in the town hall, it's disappeared. And I don't think it should have disappeared while it's in litigation.
I can tell you, Derek, that the change that I made in the ordinance is not only the naming of streets, but the naming of roads, including private and including within all condominium projects. So we've tried to make the TRC the sole governing body going forward with the naming of all streets.
All right. That's all my question for that one.
Right, I have two more hands up on this matter. I'm just trying to. Pete, if you state your name and address for the record.
Pete Cottrell, 25 Nowicki Street. Al, another street that you may want to add to that is Almond Court. I don't know if anyone on the council knows where Almond Court is, but it is in Ward 3. It's in Councilman Messier's ward. It runs just before Shippey, heading north on west. It looks like a little driveway, but the rear of the properties on Shippey run. That's how they get into their driveway is Almond Court. Nobody knows that. That's Almond Court.
Pete, not to cut you off, but let me make a suggestion that I'll get your email and contact you, and the same, Derek, with you. Instead of giving me names to look at,
Okay,
send me
fair enough.
emails on it.
Fair enough. It's just something that
Yeah.
Like you brought up the 911 directory and the firefighters. Being in a municipality myself, I know what that's like going to the wrong place. So it's just, I thought that I would bring that up.
Thank you, Pete. Helene, just state your name and address for the record. Helene, you're on mute. Okay, Helene, you're still on mute. I'll give you one more chance. Okay. Helene, you're here, but you're still on mute. Going once, going twice. I will take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Thank you. And thank you from the fire department and police department.
Finance report and capital update.
Kristen. You're on mute, Kristen. Welcome back, by the way.
I unmuted. I must have muted again. Thank you. I'm going to go over my memo in a kind of a summary form just because I have a bit of a toothache tonight. Current year tax collections are trending ahead of budget after we've collected 3 quarters. Prior year tax collections are at about 50%, but we just started tax sale proceedings, so that will start to increase as we get closer to May. Overall revenues are trending slightly higher than where we would expect them to be. We did get the $2.9 million in coronavirus relief funds, which takes the place of any further state aid or distressed aid that we would have gotten for the rest of the year. They were giving us 1/12 of it a month until they decided to give us the CRF funds. Altogether, when you add what we budgeted for distressed and motor vehicle, as compared to what we got for the coronavirus relief funds, it's about $1,071,000 more than what we budgeted. Expenditures are trending under budget by about 7.35%. The Civic Center is trending with a surplus right now, but I am projecting that it'll probably break even at the end of the year. The surplus that I'm projecting right now for year end for the general fund is mainly from those CRF funds. We are spending more. I think vacancies are being filled and work is getting done. So our expenses are going up at a higher rate than they were before. Our bank balance as of 2/24 was at $15,950,128.08. And I also provided a summary of where we stand with capital, because I know we've had a lot of different projects being mentioned, and I figured it would be a good thing for you to know where we stand with that. Does anyone have any questions?
Kristen, thank you for providing that. That answered a lot of my questions, actually.
No problem.
Okay.
Any questions for Kristen?
I guess maybe just about how we're doing on the budget process.
So Mark and I have had time to go through pretty much all the smaller departments. We have a couple of big departments that we want to meet face to face, which I think we're planning on doing Friday. So we're moving along. You'll get it on the 16th, I believe it is, it's on target. It's on target.
And no surprises, nothing that we should be.
Well, the biggest surprise was our, our reversal of that decision. So that made things look a lot better
Okay.
than what it did. So so far, no surprises. It's everything that we expected, everything that I outlined that we would expect for this year.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Kristen.
Consideration of removal of the interim title of Personnel Director Sherry A. Fournier, sponsored by interim town manager.
Mark?
Good evening again. As I laid out in my memo of February 24th, Sherry joined our management team in November of 2020 and has quickly made herself an extremely valuable member. She's proven to be extremely knowledgeable in matters related to human resources and labor practices. Her professional demeanor and responsiveness has allowed her to make great strides in streamlining the duties and responsibilities of that office. And I look forward to working and strengthening our support for our employees in the areas of training and wellness and career development, and working together to make a more comprehensive and updated personnel manual and standard operating procedures as we move forward. So I'm respectfully requesting that the council vote to strip the interim title from her actual title.
Well, I know you're requesting it, but I got a question. Does she want the interim title?
I'm in too deep. I'm in.
I would enthusiastically move that the interim title be removed from Sherry's title.
I'll second.
Moved in second, discussion. And again, I've talked to Sherry a couple of times. I've told her how quick she is to respond to us as a council. Employees have given nothing but compliments to me. They like her professionalism. They it's a breath of fresh air up there. So, Sherry, I hope you continue doing the job you're doing. And personally, I know when Mary Beth was part of the interview process with Councilman D'Amico, I don't think we wanted to put the interim process or the name on the beginning to begin with. So I totally agree with everybody here that that needs to go and make you full-time director.
Sherry, you've done a terrific job. I agree with David. Compliments all around. You've quickly become a very important part of the team overall, and it's certainly an area that we've been lacking in for the last several years, and I don't think we could come up with anyone better than you to run it. So,
Thank you.
That being said, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes. Congratulations, Sharon.
So don't call in sick tomorrow, okay? Yeah.
That's not my style.
Tuxet Valley Authority 2021 cleanup schedule and special needs fishing day sponsored by Councilman Licciardi.
Jason,
Hi. As you all know, the Tuxet River Authority plays a big part in keeping our Veterans Square and the Crompton Fishing Pier clean. Once a year, they do a full cleanup, more than just trash and litter. It's actually going into the river and taking out any debris and anything that could cause a hazard. And they do a great job. I've been a minimal part of that for over the last 4 years. But so I just wanted to put out, I'm going to be forwarding this to the council, and I just received this the other day from Stan Britton, the cleanup schedule for 2021. And I'd like it if Mark, I don't know, whoever does the website, if they could put it on there. That way people know when this is going to take place. And we also, after talking to Stan, we had planned this, I don't know, maybe a year and a half ago. The fishing pier is actually, the man it was named for was in a wheelchair. He has special needs. And that's kind of where the fishing pier was derived from. So what makes sense is to have a special needs day. I mean, I don't want to call it that, but a day where the kids can go and feel comfortable, maybe go at their own pace. It could be kids, could be adults. I know we have the Wildcats in town, which represent West Warwick at the Special Olympics. I'll be reaching out to Deb Contois, who is the front runner there. She guides the whole program. And we wanted to do this a couple of years ago, and then we had bad weather, and then COVID hit last year, so everything just got derailed. But we're actually planning this in the fall. So it more so Stan than I am, but I'm going to actually give him whatever help he needs for it. And I'll be probably coming back to the council maybe to help out a little bit. But I just want to make everybody aware. We're being proactive. So Mark, I'll be forwarding this to you probably tomorrow morning.
Very good. I'll add it to the code red. I'll mention it in a few minutes.
Thank you.
any other questions, Jay? Any questions for Jay? Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome.
Appointment, reappointment for Patuxent River Authority. Resolved that the town council hereby appoints or reappoints the following individual to serve as a Patuxent River Authority member for the town of West Warwick, term to expire on 6/30 of 2023.
I move the name of Stephen Britton.
I'll second.
Moved and seconded, and just for the record, I was going back and forth with Paula on this. Stephen Britson is actually Stan Britson, but his real name is Stephen Britson. So just so everybody's aware, Stan Britson is the same individual.
I've actually had the pleasure of working with Stan over years or so in contact. He's my contact with different events that Patuxent River Authority is doing, and Stan's heavily involved. And you know, we're very fortunate in West Warwick. We have three. I don't want to say keep using the word involved, but three huge representatives who are very active in keeping our river clean. And it's a big task, and they're all volunteers. And I think we're lucky to have all three of them. And I know Stan's up for reappointment tonight, so, and I believe he's on.
I gotta check if he's on. Yes, he is on. He's on as Ethan Britson. He has his hand raised. Stan, just state your name and address for the record. You're actually on mute.
My name is Stephen Stanley Britson, and I live at 41 Surrey Lane.
Steve or Stan. I know you as Stan. So that's
Yeah, I
why
know I'm Stan. I go by my middle name.
I actually had that discussion with my wife and to ask your wife. But no, you are very well involved into that group. I know I've been involved in a couple of cleanups with you. And, you know, I thank you for reapplying and, you know, I know you enjoy doing it. So thank you once again.
I'm sorry it took so long for me to get reappointed. I had some issues with my driver's license to get renewed from California and this and that. So I do apologize.
No problem. That being said, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
Yes.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilwoman Williamson,
Yes.
Councilman D'Amico,
Yes.
and I vote yes.
Appointment of town clerk resolved in accordance with Article 10, Section 1001 of the Home Rule Charter. The town council hereby appoints the following individual as the town clerk to serve at the pleasure of the town council with a start date of March 29th of 2021.
I'll move the name of Sarah Repose for the appointment to town clerk.
I'll second that.
Moving second, discussion. Sarah is here, and Sarah is actually running a very busy schedule today for the town of Richmond. And I know she has an election going on down there. She serves as the town clerk in Richmond as we speak. Mary Beth and myself and the rest of the council had interviewed Sarah along with our HR director and Mark Knott. Sarah has accepted the position, and she is well versed in every position in our town hall because she's responsible for all those positions down in Richmond. And Sarah, I know you're on if you'd like to speak.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
We can.
Oh, great. Sorry, I'm walking around closing polls and I have a school budget going on at the same time. So it's a little crazy here tonight, but thank you for doing this. I'm really excited about this position and I look forward to joining all of you.
And Sarah's start date will be March 29th. Her first day will be at Town Hall, March 29th.
Yes.
You know, once the council votes tonight, Sarah, I can't wait to start working with you because I think you're going to be a breath of fresh air.
I
Thank you.
would echo that. I mean, the interview process, it was a no-brainer. It was hands down, this is the person that we need or want. I think working together as a team, Sherry and Sarah will do a wonderful job.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, I just wanted to, on the actual resolution, it says it passed and approved this second day of February. It really should be March.
Oh, okay, I'll amend that.
Any
you.
other questions from the council? Hearing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Councilman Licciardi,
I vote yes. Welcome, Sarah.
Councilman Messier,
Yes.
Councilman Williamson,
Absolutely, yes.
Councilman D'Amico.
Yes, welcome.
Congratulations, Sarah, and I vote yes, and welcome aboard.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
And we'll
I'll
let
go
you
back
get
to work.
we'll let you get back to
Exactly.
work at Richmond, and good luck tonight.
I promise to work just as hard for you guys.
Thank you.
No doubt. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Upcoming appointments, Sewer Use Board of Review, 1 alternate member vacancy with a term to expire on 10/2021. 2 vacancies with a term to expire 10/2023. Pension Committee, 3 vacancies with a term to expire in 2021, 2022, and 2023. Patuxent River Authority, 1 vacancy, which was filled tonight. Recreation Committee, 1 vacancy. Tree Warden, West Bay Community Action Board, West Warwick Representative, 1 vacancy. Board of Assessment Review, 1 term to expire on 3/2021.
Paula, can I
Public
ask a
comment.
question? I'm sorry. Can I, just about the question, the tree warden? I mean, don't we have a long-standing tree warden?
He has not responded to us in over
So
a
we've
year.
reached out. We've reached out and he's just
We've
not.
tried. He's
Yeah, we
not
can-
responding back.
Yeah, we continue to reach
Mary
out.
Ann tried as well.
Okay. Just curious, because I know that, I think he's been the tree warden forever, hasn't he?
Yes, for a very long
Okay.
time, since I've been on the council.
Yeah.
Really?
Paula, I know you got an application, you're supposed to be getting an application for the pension board. If you can get
Yes.
that on the next agenda so we can help the pension board fulfill their duties. And I know we are working on going to MERS, but you know, while we still have a pension board, we have an individual that's very interested.
Public comment. Designated portion of the town council's open meeting for citizens to address comments to the town council relating to matters affecting the public business. Rhode Island General Law 42-46-2, Section 3, and Rhode Island General Law 42-46-2, Section 6. Comments will only be addressed to the town council, who will take them under advisement. When addressing the town council, please state your name, address. Please conduct yourself in an orderly and respectful fashion. The comments of citizens accessing this portion of the meeting are neither adopted nor endorsed by this body, but heard as requested. Members of the town council being duly elected public body as identified in Rhode Island General Law 42-46-2, Section 3, have no obligation to respond to public comments.
Council President, I have one item, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Since Councilman
Sure.
Chardy brought up
Thank
a notification for the cleanup and fishing day, once I have that, I was intending to send out a code red. The Crompton Mill stack removal is scheduled for demolition next Wednesday, starting at 8 a.m. Some equipment should have been delivered there today and over the next few days to get prepped. And when the company foreman or whoever is lead comes back from vacation, they anticipate that coming down starting 8 a.m. on Wednesday the 10th and be completely removed by the end of the day on Friday. So I'm going to add that to a kind of a civic notice, code red, for a point of interest.
And I have two quick things. Thank you, Mark, for that. One, I know Tom Oates brought up the Projo situation, and I know Al has been working on that. So I just want to give you a heads up that we are working on that matter, so that way there, Tom, I know you're here in the audience, so just want to give you a heads up that town is working on trying to rectify that issue. Secondly, today was an election day for the state of Rhode Island, and we had 2 local restaurants donate lunch and dinner for our poll workers and our clerk's office, which for lunch was Boomerangs. which is fairly new to the community, but they donated free food and their time to the poll workers. And then for dinner, Bill's Pizza donated food for the workers. So I want to thank both of them publicly for taking time and donation to the town. That's all I have. Do we have any? What's that?
I have one thing.
Councilman Licciardi?
Yes, Easter's a month away. I spoke with Chief Ferrone last week, and I kind of figured this, but I wanted to get his opinion on it. I still have Easter eggs at my house from last year, all toy filled, but I don't feel comfortable running an Easter egg hunt right now. I figure let everything take its course. All the vaccines get taken care of, and I don't know, maybe if things go well and they go fast, then maybe we could do something in the summer.
Thank you.
Actually, Dave, can I throw one thing out there? I think it's pretty self-explanatory at this point, but since I've gotten so many messages in the past couple of weeks, we're not having a St. Patrick's Day parade. I think most people know that, but for the people that have asked, there's no parade this year.
Thank you. Any public comment, please raise your hand. I do not see any hands. Oh, got a hand. Derek, just state your name and address for the record.
Eric Reed, 62 Winters Ave. Quick question for Mr. Varone. Sports for this spring in the town, are they going to be games and practices as normal, or is it still going to be distant training, basically?
That's a great question, Derek. I really can't answer that right now. We're going to look to the state for that guidance, and we'll follow whatever guidance the Department of Health comes up with the youth athletics.
All right, because my son really wants to play soccer, and I saw the signups are being advertised, and I was just curious of how it's going to work. I mean, I had him signed up in the fall, and then I found out through one of these meetings about, how they're going to be distanced from each other, so it's kind of not worth it. And I want to sign him up for a sport, but I also don't want to sign him up for a sport that he's not going to be able to, in essence, play.
Yeah. Well, they did allow some, youth sports, and especially outside. And so I would anticipate that there's going to be some form of it, but all those guidelines are going to come from the Rhode Island Department of Health, and with due consideration for all the different factors.
Chief, is that something that I know typically spring sports begin April 1st? That's usually the target date for recreational sports. Is it possible to do some investigating and maybe put it on the agenda for the next council meeting?
Mr. Council President, I would suggest that this might be an item that keeps on the council agenda. It's really not subject for public comment, only because there would be a lot of interest in this particular subject, and it might be advantageous to have it on the council's agenda on a monthly basis, so people that do tune in will find out based upon any information the chief can get from the Department of Health as it relates not only to youth sports, but also to high school sports.
That could be a follow-up to the standing item that we have on the agenda right now, where the town manager gives an overview and he can invite whatever department heads he wants. And typically Chief Ferrone does participate, so.
Thank you.
And then there's a couple more questions. So I know that a few meetings back, probably quite a few back, you approved I don't know what you want to call it, a report to be done by Mr. Lombardi for the sewer department. And I know that that's on the town webpage now for public viewing. Is there going to be a date where Mr. Lombardi comes to one of these meetings and goes through his report and explains to the taxpayers exactly what he found at the sewer department and kind of input from the council of what they're gonna do for what he found? Or are we gonna just put this one behind the back door like we did with the one for the DPW? Because at the end of the day, the taxpayers pay 40, 50,000, whatever it is for these things. And we never hear the results.
Derek, we will be discussing at a further date. I just don't know exactly when yet.
Okay, and then one more thing.
May
We
I
had an
just, I'm
election-
sorry, may I, the price on that is not correct either, Derek. Jason Licciardi, I'd ask you, but at 13.5, I think is the number, is it not?
Councilwoman, again, this is not
I
appropriate,
know, but I just don't want that out there as being, it's far less than that.
but it can be addressed when it's on the council's agenda.
Like I said, I didn't know what it is. I said 40, and then I said, I don't know. So whatever it is, it is. It's still taxpayer money being spent. I think the taxpayers should be able to hear what the results are of these reports. The DPW report, Mr. Lombardi started explaining it. We got to the Parks and Recreation part of it. We never heard nothing else. You had him come back, do a sewer report. I think the taxpayers just need to hear it from beginning to end. Right, wrong, whatever's going on, there's a reason you had it done. We're paying for it. We should hear it. The other thing is, November, we had an election. In your town charter says that council positions are to be on the agenda for repositioning of council members. It is now March 2nd. Haven't seen that on any agenda. I think, in my opinion, Ms. Williamson belongs in the president position. That's my opinion. So we had the election in November. Town charter says, and that's what you, as a council, are supposed to follow, town charter. So I'll be looking for that on a council agenda in the near future, I hope. And that's all I got.
You're mute, David, you're muted.
No, I don't see any other hands.
Oh,
Somebody had their hand up, they just took it down. No hands up?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Have a good night.
Good night.
You too.